Hi, welcome to Murderous Midwest. I'm Abby,
And this is Eleanor.
and today we are talking about H.H. Holmes. So before we get into it, I just wanted to let you guys know that this episode has a little bit of a gore trigger warning. So if you're squeamish or if you don't like things such as that, this is your warning.
Okay, so H.H. Holmes and the Murder Hotel. So his original name was Mudgett. He was born in 1861 into a rich family.
Like Mudgett, like midget? With a U? Or...
Here, I have it written down. I don't think I'm spelling it right.
No,
Mudgett.
like midget with a U. That's weird.
And reportedly, he had an unusual intelligence for his age and skipped quite a few grades.
Oh.
But he showed an extreme interest in medicine, to say the least. He expressed this by performing surgeries on animals that he had caught.
That's
throughout
disgusting.
his childhood.
That is not cool.
To say the least, he became obsessed with death.
That's creepy.
So he graduated high school at the age of 16.
Okay, 16?
16.
What year is this again?
He was born in 1861.
Okay, so it would be like 1880s. Okay, so it's a while ago.
Yeah, this was definitely an older episode, definitely not as new as the previous ones that we've been doing.
Yeah.
But he was the first ever serial killer in the U.S. Like
first
ever like well known.
Oh wow, okay. That's crazy.
So he after high school he changed his name to Henry Howard Holmes, which is how he's now known as H.H. Holmes. He went to University of Michigan. So here's a little fun story for you, right? He reportedly stole a cadaver at medical school.
Yeah.
And used it for his schemes. Mm-hmm. He would first burn and disfigure it, and then take out insurance policies on this cadaver.
Yep.
And then set up the scene like it was a car wreck, and then take in the money that happened after the insurance.
Yep.
And so this guy was actually really smart, but he was honestly really awful.
Yeah, no, and he did that a few times. I heard a story about that. He did it a couple of times, and he got a lot of money for it. And doesn't he eventually get arrested for insurance fraud?
Yes, insurance fraud is how he made his extra money on the side.
Yes.
He was actually really great at it for his time, which is not an amazing thing to admit, but it was honestly quite interesting.
Yeah.
I was really shocked when I first read the story. I was not ready. I was like, oh, like a cadaver, like a cadaver.
A cadaver.
Dead body. So he got a job at a pharmacy in Chicago.
Okay.
So he later, after only working there for 3 years, 2 to 3 years, it's a little shoddy.
Yeah.
Time-wise. He took over the business after the owner mysteriously died.
Oh.
And
Are
then
we thinking he could have murdered him?
I mean,
is that a
possibly.
possibility?
It is
Okay.
a conspiracy theory.
Did you figure out how he died or no?
No.
Okay.
This is in the 1800s, so therefore
Records
are really just not there.
Yeah.
So his widow's wife sold the pharmacy to him, and then mysteriously, supposedly, went and moved from Chicago to California and could never be found.
Oh.
So they can't prove this.
This is the guy that died, his wife, right?
Yes, his
Okay.
widowed wife sold the company to him and then mysteriously vanished to California.
Fun.
Never to be proven.
Fun. Okay.
So let's get into this hotel, right?
Okay.
So Holmes bought a lot next to his pharmacy. This would later be his notorious hotel.
Yeah.
That he's known for. So they started construction in 1889.
Yeah.
So he hired and fired many construction companies so that no one could understand what he was doing. Because if you look at these floor plans, they're chaotic and crazy.
No, they're insane.
And I think it really showed his intelligence with the fact that he was hiring and firing so many companies.
He is a very, very sneaky guy.
So my original plan was to go floor by floor, but since this murder happened so long ago, it's really shoddy, what each floor entailed.
There's a bunch of holes.
And so there's a bunch of holes in the story. So here are some highlights from all the rooms.
Great.
There were trapdoors to the basement and to other floors. So just sneaky doors, that you see in movies.
Yeah, no, you mean On the main level or like where in the house or just everywhere?
On the main level, in the upper rooms that would travel down to other rooms into the basement.
Oh, fun.
He had just a maze of rooms. He had rooms that you would open up the door and there would just be a brick wall.
Oh,
And
weird.
staircases that led to nowhere. Asphyxiation chambers.
Yeah.
5-door rooms. A lot of his rooms locked from the outside. There was supposedly rooms lined with gas where he would seal people in.
Oh, like he would like.
So they had like
release the
gas mechanisms.
Oh, that's weird.
Airless chambers under the floorboards.
Okay.
And iron-plated rooms to muffle the sounds. So some of these accounts have been skepticized by historians. They say that some of the accounts may have been over-dramatized by media at the time.
Yeah, by like the newspapers and
By
stuff.
the newspapers and such.
Yeah, no, like, okay, so do you know if he designed the floor plans himself?
Yes, it is.
He did it all
that
himself.
he completely designed the floor plans himself and hired many construction companies.
Wow.
This guy's intelligent, and also this is just like the highlights of the room. If you guys ever have like free time, you can look more into like these room floor plans because they're honestly really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so onto the basement.
The basement.
This is where that trigger warning comes into play.
Okay.
Right? So this was called his laboratory. It was called his laboratory because when officers went down there, they saw a blood-soaked operation tables.
Like multiple?
Multiple tables.
Wow.
Women's clothing all across the floors.
Oh.
A crematory that was originally described as a human-sized oven with piles of ashes.
Oh my gosh.
An array of medical tools. With DNA on them, but at this time, I believe it's 1900s at the time.
So they weren't
So
able
DNA
to...
evidence just wasn't what it is today.
Yeah.
And then lots and lots and lots of acids.
Oh.
With
Sounds like somebody else we know.
bodies were disfigured to the point that they could not tell how many there were.
Wow.
Like there was just big piles of ashes, of human ashes with teeth in there. And
oh my gosh.
A bunch of sets of clothing.
That's
and
awful.
Burnt up bodies in acid.
Just to let you guys know, the other person we're talking about is nobody we know personally. Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer, which, yeah.
He's
him and his lovely buckets of acid.
Let me tell you, these two would be besties.
Serial killers learn from each other. Just like I
They
can get a
do.
hold of this information, they can get a hold of the same.
Okay, but like seriously, if you guys ever have time, look up pictures of this hotel. You can find the floor plans for it. It is insane.
It is a maze.
It is truly a maze. There's so much. No wonder they didn't know what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. So you're like, how did he get these people? So it was a hotel during this time. So Holmes also made all of his employees, hotel guests, fiancés, and wives were required to have life insurance policies and list him as the beneficiary.
Oh.
And most would suddenly disappear.
Every time he lost
money. He would also go in... He would marry them or make them his fiance. They would sign the beneficiary, and then they would mysteriously disappear.
Yeah, just like a little fun fact, you know, he married 3 people at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
He was engaged over 20 times.
Mm-hmm. He married this one girl around 19. Her name was Clara, and like 2 years after they got married, they had a kid, and he decided, well, I'm out, and he ran away. And then as he was running away before he filed for divorce, he married some other girl, and then like the divorce papers never went through, and so he was married to Clara still while he was married to her, and then he ran away from her and never filed for divorce, and married this other girl like Georgina or something like that. Yes, her name was Georgina. And he died married to all 3 of them.
Oh my gosh. I wish they were all able to meet each other.
I'm sure they did at some point.
Yeah, with how popular he became.
Oh, yeah.
So people eventually started reporting seeing people come into this hotel, but never come out.
Ooh,
This was
creepy.
also during the World Fair, which brought in people from all over and
Yes.
foreigners, and so he most likely got a lot of business from this.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they never really saw anybody leave.
Oh, wow.
So after the World's Fair, when he apparently most likely got out all of his little murdering frenzy, he went on an insurance frenzy.
An insurance
And as in, like, a bunch of insurance frauds all at once.
Oh,
For
fun.
for a couple years. One scheme ended up making him over $10,000 with his best
Wow.
friend. They faked his death and went around the country on these schemes, on insurance schemes, which ended up being how he was caught.
Oh, that
He
must have been
was,
that must have been like, no, there was a period of time where he made one of his coworkers fake his death. That must have been.
Yep, it ended up
around
being
then.
his best friend. Reportedly, they were like best friends,
Yeah.
and they went around the entire country doing these insurance frauds.
Wow.
So he was caught after theft and a poorly planned financial scheme, and was arrested in Boston on November 17th, 1894.
Okay, so what? He's in his 30s, 33, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 33.
Mental
at
math
this
is
point.
not my strong suit.
It's okay.
Oh my god.
No, I think he's 33 now.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it for a while.
He's been doing it for a while. And this was during Chicago, when younger people were able to start businesses a lot more successfully than today.
Yeah.
Especially with being able to graduate
Yeah.
at 16 and go through medical school so early.
Mm-hmm.
So his number of murders is so shoddy that it's almost impossible to say. But we
Wow.
know that he confessed to 20 to 28 murders,
Okay.
but was connected at the end to over 200.
200.
Over 200 murders he was connected to, and still more are being added on that he may have supposedly killed.
What? That is crazy.
Which is honestly, I was like, how could this happen? Because even with DNA evidence being so shoddy at the time, it was impossible to think how they were able to miss so many murders. And then I remembered the ashes
Yeah.
and the laboratory. And then there's also some accounts of him maybe selling skeletons
Yes.
to medical
Medical.
schools
Medical sciences. Yeah.
and sciences, and also being a part of the black market
Mm-hmm.
and selling organs, which would explain the blood-soaked tables.
Wow.
So this was a man of many trades,
Yeah.
to say the least. So in May of 1896, one of the U.S.'s first serial killers was hanged.
Oh, so he was sentenced to death.
And so he was hanged on 1896. So his house was made into an attraction
Yep.
because it was so interesting
There was
for
so
people
much
to walk
it.
through. But it was 2 weeks before the attraction was supposed to open,
Mm-hmm.
the house mysteriously burned down before it could ever be opened.
Creepy. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
What
no.
an October finish to our story.
Yeah.
Which honestly, personally, I'm like, evil spirits. Because I've realized how similar all the serial killers are.
Yes.
Like
they
their
are.
childhoods, and that really makes me think of, spiritual type of stuff. But that's just me personally.
Yeah, no. Well, they all pull things from each other and they just tweak a little bit of it to make it their own so
And
that
they're-
they can be the next big thing.
And their childhood, though. How can you fake that? Their
Exactly.
childhood is so similar.
Yeah,
Like
I know.
having a weird interest in medicine by expressing this by performing like animal surgeries.
It's okay. Like, I have an interest in like the medical field, like practicing the medical field, but that doesn't mean like I'm
Right, that
going
you're
out
not that
and-
you're out there trapping
Animals.
dogs and cats, the neighborhood dogs and cats to
like,
cut open.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a little weird. you
Right?
know? a
And
little more than a little weird, but
and becoming obsessed with death.
yeah, that's weird too. But actually, did you know that when he was sentenced to death, he requested that he be buried in cement?
Really?
Yeah, no. So he said, after I'm hung, I want to be buried in cement.
what a weird.
And they never fulfilled that request.
Yeah, I'm not one to be like, yes, we'll really give you like your proper burial as a serial killer.
Yeah, they
Most
don't
of-
deserve much.
I know there was a serial killer on the loose during this time in England, and so Americans really thought that they were safe.
Yeah, and then this happened, and they
then
were
this
like, "Psych."
happened. And so it really struck what are words? It really struck a lot of fear into Americans' lives.
Yeah, no kidding. I think it would terrify me too.
Yeah, no kidding. So
Yeah, you know what his like? What do they call it? Murder house? Murder castle?
it's around the neighborhood it was known as the castle.
The murder castle, right?
And so
Yeah.
it's been nicknamed the Murder Castle.
Fun. Okay.
But I personally love the Murderous Hotel
Yeah, right.
in celebration of our Murderous Midwest.
Yes, exactly. No, see, the hotel itself, the murder castle itself, reminds me of the Winchester House. Have you ever heard of that?
I believe I remember the name. Please educate me.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the Winchester House was created by Mr. Winchester, the guy who created the Winchester rifles, his wife after he had passed away, and she just went bonkers and went crazy, and she believed that every human being killed with the rifle was haunting her. So this is thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people at this time that have been killed by this thing, and so she's freaking out, and she builds this absolutely massive house that is just a maze, like the hotel was. It had staircases that led to nowhere. It had doors that led to nowhere. It had doors on
been reports in this hotel, and I want to hear if this is similar, where people all of a sudden would walk up staircases and would all of a sudden realize that there was nowhere that they were going.
Yeah. No, in the Winchester house, it would have staircases that just lead into the ceiling or lead down into nothing, or it would have doors that just led into walls, windows that also led into walls. She had rooms made that she would make a room and then she would seal it off completely and she'd decorate it beautifully and then she'd seal it off, and she had the house constantly changing so that she'd confuse the ghosts. Yeah.
And so she thought that she could seal off the ghosts?
No, she thought that they could, or she thought that she could confuse them. I would confuse myself in that process.
I have the worst directional skills. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm good with directions. That is dream place. I want to go there so bad.
Really?
Yes, I want to go see it. I want to go see it for myself. One of my cousins, she went to go see it, and she said the atmosphere there was just so different.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's you walk in, and it's just one of the places, it feels different than everywhere else.
Yeah,
not necessarily,
creepy.
nothing necessarily bad happened, but it just has this
spiritual feel. Personally, I'm religious, and so I'm spirits. But okay, so do you know any other interesting facts about this guy? Because I know you know a lot about H.H. Holmes yourself.
I do know a lot about H.H. Holmes myself. Most of the fun facts I shared with you, but
is there anything that really stuck out to you that you really thought was interesting about this guy?
Not necessarily. I think, the whole, him selling the skeletons, and, I mean, I thought the insurance fraud, that was new.
Yeah.
That's definitely
That's
something
not something that other serial killers really possess, where they had other side jobs. I mean, we had, what was his name? I did him last podcast.
You did.
Anthony Sowell.
Anthony, yeah.
He did, he sold metal, but that was about it.
He sold what?
He sold metal.
Metal.
It was his junkyard thing, but he mostly collected unemployment checks.
Oh, yeah.
And so no other serial killer that I know of had such a large side job.
Yeah, no, normally the killers, they'll jump around a bunch of jobs, but none of them have a solid job. And
I mean, I wouldn't call Schemes a solid job, but
well, no, I mean
right.
They stayed with it.
Right.
He stayed with the insurance fraud. And another thing I found really interesting is he created this hotel just so he could kill people.
Yeah, that was the entire purpose of this.
The entire purpose of the hotel. And so it makes me think, oh, how did he know he wants to do that? Did he start before the hotel? Did he start...
I mean, we know that there is a conspiracy theory. It does not have enough backup.
I'd love to hear it, though.
But there's a lot of conspiracy theories about this guy, right?
Yes,
and so there's
many.
one that he killed his childhood best friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some people think that he may have killed his childhood best friend.
That's
And
weird.
also,
That's
on
really
top of the
scary.
ones talking about the older, she wasn't even that old. She was in her middle of her 40s, was the couple who
40s?
owned the pharmacy.
Oh, so it's like a theory that she might have killed them, or he might have killed them too, or?
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, there's totally a possibility.
It's one of the most, and that's why I put it in, is because it's the one that has the most backup with it.
Yeah.
But, oh my
It just,
gosh.
it just makes me think, like, what was he doing beforehand? How did he know that he wanted to kill people? Like, because you don't just spend that much money on something that you're like, I want to try it. I mean, like, I know I'm talking about it like it's just an everyday hobby. It is not.
Get a dabble in serial killing today.
Yeah,
pick up crochet hook, maybe, stabby.
Please don't do that.
Hyperfixation. My new hobby of the day.
Wow, thanks. For all of you who don't know, hyperfixation is a side effect of ADHD.
Where they get hyperfixated on random things and objects and crafts and ideas and new hobbies. And so, little stabby today. Tomorrow maybe I'll try crochet.
Yeah, right? Like, it just makes me think about it, And then, there's so many conspiracy theories because we really don't know that much about him.
Exactly.
We know enough, we know enough to, we can say, yes, he killed a bunch of people. And
there's also a lot of fiction about him.
Fiction?
Yes, there's been 2 movies.
Which movies? Do you know what movies they are?
They're both, titled H.H. Holmes, and they have a lot of fiction in them.
Okay.
But he has, I believe, 2 movies made about him. One's a documentary.
Yeah. One was called Murder Hotel, and the other is H.H. Holmes, America's First Serial Killer. Are they both documentaries?
Are they both documentaries? He's an interesting guy. The hour that I spent on TikTok and on Google and on all these random websites trying to get the best sources and the most accurate information on him.
It's extremely hard because we really don't know.
It's so hard, and I don't want to be spreading misinformation. That's why this episode's a lot shorter, because I only was able to say so much.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's kind of why we're talking about it at the end here, because we try our best to find all of the information for you guys, and this guy was nothing about him.
He's an interesting guy, and there's a lot of conspiracies.
There's a lot of conspiracies. There's a lot of things that are not solid, and so we just want to be able to find what is at least a little bit moldable.
I wish I knew more about what technology they had, because there was some accounts saying that he supposedly had sensors in the hallways that would alert him in the room. But that one
sounds a little weird because they didn't really have sensors.
Right.
I mean, when I think of a sensor from the 1800s, might be just me being me, but I think of a string and a bell attached to the end,
Right. And so I'm and
nothing subtle.
It was in all the hallways. And so that's what I'm saying, is the information is so hard to get that you're is that true?
Yeah, no, there's just
for the 1800s, is that
not
realistic?
Only do we not know enough about himself, the media just blew everything out of proportion, and it's from over 100 years ago.
Right.
So
for a serial killer.
Exactly. And so not only did the media blow everything out of proportion, but that's the only record we have, because records were not solid.
The first newspaper that came out said that there were 14 ovens, human-sized ovens, and a whole 3 lavatories.
They were really going for it, huh?
They were
wow.
And it was blood-soaked floors.
Oh.
When in all actuality, it was, only 1 bed that was soaked. Only 1.
That sounds so awful, but
I know, that's what I'm saying. They have only 1 was soaked.
Yeah, no, that's just, there's just so little,
Right. And so.
But this is what we have for you guys. Thank you for joining us for this episode.
If you know any fun facts about him that you would like to share, would love to hear about it.
Yes, obviously, we would love to learn more, and I'm sure anybody listening too. So, thank you for joining us. We are excited to give you guys the next episode. Bye.
Bye.